What's going on, everyone? Welcome to q.v.o Games. My name is Juan. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. This video is going to be about the games coming until the week of May 21st. We have a great lineup of games, some expansions, one of them a special announcement because I missed it last week, and I'm excited to talk about them. I'm going to give you a little bit of an update. I have been playing a lot of games recently, and one that really impressed me was Mosaic, A Story of Civilization. I played the Deluxe Colossus Edition that one of my buddies owned, and he owns, and I played it this weekend, and it was a lot of fun. That was actually a really interesting and cool game. If you're looking for a fun game to play, and someone offers you to play Mosaic, a story of civilization, the game is actually a lot of fun. And I got to play the Deluxe Edition, or Colossus Edition, I think they call it, and I was really impressed. Besides like the tediousness of setting up at the beginning with the tiles, it was actually a really cool game, and I had a lot of fun playing it. Everything just flowed perfectly. Let's get this video going. First things first, I am covering the games coming to return in the US. Some of these games may have already been released in other regions of the world. If that is the case, you may have already seen content. You may own a copy because you went to a convention with early releases. I am covering the games coming to return in the US. If a game's release date is changed, I will make sure to update you on the new release date. That will be in the video of the respective week where the game is now coming out. I'll make sure to give you an update and just to let you know this is the new update for the game's release date. Let's get this video going. First things first, coming out on, actually not on, this is going to be the special announcement. Fiction is going to be a game that is already out, and you can actually buy it on Amazon, and other retail stores are getting it as well. This is actually an interesting one. It's based off of Wordle, apparently. It's inspired by Wordle, which is the game that took the world by storm, I think in 2021 or 2022. It was like that online game, and now like New York Times owns it. You guess it's like a 5-letter word. This game implements on that, or kind of capitalizes on that, and they make it a little bit better, in my opinion. So in this game, you're going to have a game master and other players. The game master is the librarian, L-I-E, emphasis on the L-I-E, brarian. And they're going to pick a word from some type of excerpt, and the excerpt's going to be from a work of fiction. And they're going to pick the word, and the word's going to be written on top of the section here. It's going to be hidden behind the box. And the word, for example, is like horse. And if the word is horse, people on the other side are going to be guessing a word. They're going to be, okay, well, I'm going to guess this word. And when they guess X word, the librarian is going to be the one updating the form, which is right here on this side, and letting them know, oh, okay, so this letter is in the right spot, this letter is not in the right spot. Or this letter is in the word, but it's not in the right spot. However, the librarian also has to lie about one of their clues. They can, for example, if the word is horse, and they do guess the H is in the first spot, they can put a lie token. They can put like a token that indicates, oh yeah, that's actually, they actually flip the token over, and the token meaning it's no, the letter's actually not there. However, the players do know that the librarian has to at least lie about one clue, and that could be their lie, and that kind of throwing them off the path a little bit, trying to confuse them. They basically get to guess. They have 10 minutes to guess them. And while the librarian's writing down like the extra details or trying to find out what goes what and where they're gonna mess up or give them a missed clue, they pause the timer and they continue guessing. I think they have 10 tries total, from my understanding. There's also fiction and facts, so the players are going to have a chance to be able to like ask them, oh, is this true or is that true? Is this not true? And they have little tokens to do so. There's also variants to the game where it adds a couple new rules and mechanics. And yeah, this game is actually I found really neat. It's an interesting game. I want to try it out. I've been getting a lot into like deduction games, and I'm not good at word games in any way, but I do enjoy playing them, even though I'm not very good. I suck at Scrabble. I mean other ones. I'm excited for Literati as well. But yeah, fiction is going to be a word game, word deduction game, and like almost like I think like a party game. One thing about these games though is that they usually the game master, or the librarian in this case, the person who's kind of separate, and they're kind of running the scenes behind the scenes. They're running everything behind the scenes for the other players to have like a lot of fun guessing. I sometimes have more fun not being that person, and it's kind of feel like maybe some people have issues with that, being that person who's behind the scenes doing everything while they're all working against them. It just depends on who you are and what your game group likes. Fiction, I'll play. It should already be out. Go check it out. Coming up next, this game is going to be releasing this week. It's going to be Hamlet, and Hamlet, the village building game. It's going to be a medium weight game, and it's a tile placement game. This game was on Kickstarter before, and now it's coming out to retail. It should already be hitting store shelves, so if I am maybe a little bit off about it this week, it might already be out and you're seeing in stores. The interesting part of this game, and the cool thing about this game as well, is that you are all building Hamlet, the city of Hamlet, and while you're doing so, you are putting tiles down. But the tiles aren't like normal tiles. They're very like They're very different looking. See that little insert here, the triangle, and you're trying to fit pieces into all this sections here. And the way you're building, you're sending out your workers out to do your bidding and collect the resources. But also you have a donkey, and the donkey is the one who transports resources to different parts of the town where you're trying to build. Of course, the more you build, and the better chance of like putting things together in the right places, you're getting more points for doing so. Like you are the one who is making the most progress to building Hamlet. After you build it all, the end game scoring condition the end game condition to end the game, I got lost in words there, is going to be the church. Once a player builds the church, the game is over. The game has a little bit of an economy in it as well, with it is in the market, and I think I had a zoom in better in this picture here. It's going to have a little bit of a market here of like you can sell goods and trade goods, and it's all running off the tiles here and the demand of specific resources. Pretty interesting stuff, and this is kind of a picture of like a map. I like the fact that it's kind of different. It's not just like a bunch of hexes just put together and that's kind of it. It just looks a little more dynamic and what a city would look like instead of just like a big circle or a bunch of shapes put together. They still are shapes, but they're not just all the same size, which I kind of appreciated about that. This is going to be Hamlet. It's going to be coming out this week by Mighty Boards. Coming up next, we have Power Rangers, Heroes of the Gray, Shadow of the Venjix theme pack. So pre-order. I literally talk about these games every single week. This is coming out May 22nd, by the way. It's going to be an expansion for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. It's going to add more characters, more villains, more minions to fight. If you don't have enough content for the game already, there's more coming. This is coming out on May 23rd. And the next thing coming out May 23rd, Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid Rangers Allies pack. So basically more Rangers to play as. Really cool figures. If you're a fan of like the Power Rangers series, this game has some really cool figures. I'm a fan. I'm a nerd about Power Rangers. I love Power Rangers, so I do own almost everything except the new stuff from this year, only because it's turned into a lot of stuff, and I have nowhere to put it. But I love the figures and the sculpts, and the game's pretty interesting. The main game, I talk about this every video, so I'm just going to summarize it. But the main game, you have a map, and you're just fighting off the different enemies or the minions, trying to control the area so they don't crisis. Because if they overflow with people, like for example, location holds 6. And if it goes over that, then it crises. And if it crises 3 times, or if you die 3 times, like your Power Rangers die 3 times, the game's over. The game's actually a lot of fun for me. I enjoy it, and it's kind of the system of just managing the board and controlling what's going on there. And I think it's really cool. I like it. I like watching it, seeing like the overflow of minions and then your Power Rangers in the middle. I think it just looks like paints a really cool picture for me. This is going to be Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid Rangers Allies Pack number 3, coming out May 22nd. Coming up next, it's coming out May 23rd. This is just going to be a Sergeant Slaughter figure by Renegade Games, and it's just going to be an extra figure for your G.I. Joe Mission Critical game. This game plays exactly the same way as Power Rangers with the G.I. Joe theme thrown on top of it. If you're into that stuff, if you're into G.I. Joe, this is probably going to be something you're into. If you have the game, of course, this is just an extra figure, and it just includes a little bit, and someone else to play as and some more cards to play with. This is coming out May 23rd. Coming up next, Vampire the Masquerade Rivals, expandable card game, Justice and Mercy. This is going to be an expansion, Vampire the Masquerade expansion. I have not played the base game, but I have heard things about it. And basically what I heard is that you're just playing as the factions, and the faction themselves, you're trying to fight off your other vampires, which is the other players, and they have their own factions or group of vampires. And you are doing so by collecting influence and doing that with your cards you have. It's a little bit of like playing your cards out and using them to your advantage the best you can, kind of combining stuff. This is going to be an expansion. It's just going to add some more cards to your game, as well as some new factions to play as, and 1 extra or 2 extra mechanics to play. If you pre-order direct from the website, I mean, they give you a promo. I love my exclusive promos. That's just the thing that I do. So I typically order stuff directly from Renegade only because I love the promos that come with it. And sometimes retail stores don't always have it. But that's just my own thing about that. This is coming out May 24th. Coming up next by WizKids is going to be Tragedy Looper, coming out May 24th as well. This is another deduction game. It's a co-op deduction game. There's a person who's kind of controlling things behind the scene, and there's other people trying to find out what's going on. So basically the theme of the game is that you are a group of kids or people, actually not kids, a group of teenagers or people, and you're trying to find out what the next tragedy is going to be. So like a hurricane or something like that in the sense. And the way you figure that out is there's going to be a main guy. It's going to be like someone behind the scenes, the mastermind, I think they call it. And the mastermind's going to be running things behind the scenes, trying to throw you off the track of trying to find out what this next tragedy is going to be. You're trying to kind of foretell it and solve it before it happens. And you're going to be using these cards here, and these cards are going to be actions for the mastermind. They're going to do different things like +2 intrigue, trying to slow you down. The goal of the masterminds is to slow you guys down, and then everyone else's goal is to use these cards to their advantage, which have different actions. For example, the protagonist can have -1 unease. You're kind of trying to manage the situation, not let things get out of control with the cards you play. A little bit of card playing, managing what's going on, and you're trying to deduct what is going to happen. What is it? They have different scripts in different scenarios that the mastermind sets up, and you play through it, and then the protagonist play through it with you. Same thing again. I feel like sometimes with these different role games, I feel like one person's always like left out if they don't want to be that. And if they do, and if they don't, then you can't even play the game because you should just play a different game at that point because you can't figure out who wants to play what role. But I find this interesting. I also like the art. That's actually a really big thing that stands out to me is the art on this. I love anime. I'm a really big geek as well about that. And I love how it looks already so far. And the board looks kind of interesting as well. It just looks, I think it appeases me and amuses me a lot. And I want to see more deduction games and see how they do it. This is going to be by WizKids coming out May 24th. Coming up next, we have Tribes of the Wind and Wataju. Tribes of the Wind coming out May 24th. This game is actually the art alone is what actually really interests me. The Studio Ghibli art style looks like, that's what it looks like to me. I don't know if you know who Studio Ghibli is. They make a lot of great animation movies. Studio from Japan, and this kind of gives me that vibe. It looks gorgeous. Theme of this game is going to be that you are playing as people, and the world has been polluted, and people have kind of survived in pockets of groups in different areas, and the people who survived are survived in forests, and they have different civilizations usually up in the trees. Each tribe, you're going to be playing as a tribe, and you're going to, as the gameplay progresses, you're going to be trying to aim to build 5 villages. Ends the game, and you each have your own little board here, and this is going to be what you're going to be managing. For example, removing all the pollution that you can, building out temples, building out villages. You're trying to get as many points as possible with managing things on your board. One thing that's interesting about this is the card play, right? So you have these cards with elements up here. You have little card holders, and the card holders are really important because sometimes abilities that you do or actions you take can actually be influenced by other people's cards. Like, for example, this blue one and this blue one combined can help you do an action because the person to your left and the person to your right can have specific element cards that you could actually use to your advantage. It's interesting card play, and I actually want to try this one really bad only because I got to see a preview at Hachette by Danny. Danny did like a small preview, and it was actually really interesting. And not just that, but the game looks beautiful. Like, the artwork looks gorgeous. This is going to be a game that I really want to try, and I'm hoping to find a copy sometime soon when it comes out. It's going to be Tribes of the Wind by Wataju and Hachette Board Games coming out May 24th. Coming up next, coming out May 24th, is going to be Stranger Things Upside Down. This game is going to be by Simon Games, and it's going to be a game where you're going around playing as the characters from Stranger Things, trying to control and manage what's going on in the city of Hawkins, as well as the Upside Down with different tokens. I found some pictures over on BGG, and I'm going to show you them through there, but here are the miniatures. The game comes with miniatures, which is really interesting. I love some good sculpts, and I love Stranger Things. It's actually a great series for me. I really enjoy it, and I cannot wait for the last season. So if you like that and you like cool minis, these minis look really cool. I really dig them. That's going to be a cover box, and this is going to be the board itself. So in the board, you're going to be managing the different locations, trying to keep the places kind of under control. And you're going to have asymmetric characters and powers and abilities, as well as a lot of different equipment that do different things, +2 in a fight, +3 to investigate. And you're going to be collecting these cards, trying to power up and stuff, and trying to control what's going on in Hawkins or the board itself. Interesting stuff. There's a lot of games like this already too. So I can see like definitely adding the skin can probably attract appeal. And the cool part about that too is like bringing people into the board game, right? Some people see like, oh, Stranger Things Upside Down. Oh, and it has cool figures. Brings them in. A little bit of a gateway of like, hey, try board games. And they hopefully they stay and they're like, oh, I love board games now. And they play more. So that's why I love games like these that come out. Stranger Things, it's just relatable, it's common, and you can actually get people hopefully to kind of jump into board games more with just giving them something more relatable. And that's cool. And I think games like this are a good way entry point. I mean, pandemics like this where you're managing the board, and it's a good cooperative game to kind of come in, play with your friends, and join in. That's kind of what I think about the games like this, which I appreciate. We need more games, gateway games, with ways to bring people into the space. So Simon's doing that with some of these games, and I think that's great. This is going to be Stranger Things Upside Down coming out May 26. And let me know in the comment section below if you're buying these games or what have you picked up recently. I would love to hear it. I'd love to know what's going on. And I want to talk games with you. So let's definitely talk about it and find out what you picked up. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it so much, and have a good one.